Welcome to the Juice Serve Cold, darling. This topic is one that a lot of people really don't like to talk about, domestic violence. And that's like one of the biggest topics of today, going on in the world, because it's a lot of domestic violence out there, whether it's from younger generation, older generation. It don't matter how old you are. It has no name, it has no age, it has no face, it has nothing. It's just something that's bad, it's terrible. It's not love, I know that. It's not love at all. And a lot of us go through the physical, emotional, just the abuse is just to the point where people are starting to look at it like it's just like almost a trend these days. And I find that to be especially in the younger generation today. I have some ladies here that's been through some real traumatic moments. Me, myself, have been through a traumatic moment or two myself. We always say what we would never do or never let happen to us, and then we find ourselves falling in love with people that, we would accept their bad behaviors, their bad ways, the bad things that they do because we love them. And we stay because we love them. The love overpowers everything bad that they do, but we stay because we love them. So I have today here, I have Mrs. May. She's an author. She has a book out. Her book is called Celebrating Me. And, she talks a lot in there about her abuse and the things that she went through. So before we get started, I'm going to let her introduce herself and let you know a little bit about her book that she's written. I think it's about to be a best-selling author, huh? Tell us, Mrs. May, give us a little bit. What is your book, Celebrating Me, about?
My book, Celebrating Me, is about embracing who God created me to be. It's about being overweight, domestic violence, abuse as a child, abuse in a marriage, 16-marriage relationship. And I'm part 1 in the book. Part 2 is 6 ladies and a man. All 3 of them either has an overweight problem, or they've been abused in domestic violence, or abuse, sexual abuse. Part 3 is a psychiatrist out of Pasadena, California, and she was raped. And she went to school to be a psychiatrist. And that is telling us about why we that have the weight on, how that emotional ties itself to our intestine, and it causes high blood pressure, any type of illness that can be, it will, cause it. Diabetes even connected to it. So you first got to deal with the pain, the trauma of what you went through, so that you can get to a point. Then you start to be able to lose the weight. I used to weigh 309 pounds. And so once I started writing my book and got in touch with her, and I started putting into practice some of the things that she was telling me, I'm much healthier, much happier than I have ever been in my life.
Okay, so I just want to give me one of the things that was very traumatic with the husband that you had for what you said was 13 years?
I had one husband for 10, one for 16.
So both of them were abusive?
Yes.
So
yes.
You just pretty much been through a real rough
Well, let's
time.
start with my first boyfriend after high school.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I grew up in a home. I'm the oldest of 6 children. I have raised those kids, and so I didn't really have a childhood. So I know what Michael Jackson and Liz Taylor talk about when they didn't have a childhood. And with all those sisters and brothers, I didn't have the love that I should have got. My dad was not present in my life during those years. And so when I met this boyfriend, he was showing me the love and affection that I never had. So I became addicted to that. And even though he was slapping me around, being abusive, I found out that I was cashiering at the back door of a department store. There was another lady working in the front. I knew her and her husband. Someone told me, said, he's dating this lady. I didn't believe it. So one day he didn't show up, so I went to his house, car was there, knocked on the door, and I had a key to his place. The deadbolt was on. And so it was snowing, it's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I go back outside, my girlfriend and we waited, and sure enough, he came out. That was heart-wrenching.
Oh, yeah.
So he came and found me after he'd done this, and he wanted to jump on me and beat me. And
you caught him cheating.
I caught him cheating.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
I caught him cheating.
Yeah.
So he came, and so I broke up with him. So my girlfriend intervened, and then the next time I saw him, I was with some cousin of mine, and they told him, if you ever lay hand on her again, you're gonna have all three of us to deal with. And so he ended up moving to Chicago. So then later I met my children. I have 2 daughters. I met their father.
Now, before you go any further, I just want to ask you, when you in the transition of the one who beat you, the boyfriend, then when you got your husband and got married, when you first met him, you didn't see any indications of that in him? You didn't see, he was just sweet as pie?
Oh my gosh, he swept me off my feet. He was so sweet to me.
Okay.
When we would go places, I would be sitting right under him.
Okay.
Because it was the age where you sit next to the husband, and the first couple of years were just wonderful. But then later on,
give me that first time when he exposed himself, because guess what? It was already there. It was in there. He just didn't let it out and let you see it the first time. He held it in until whatever made it surface.
That's right.
That's all.
That's right.
So tell me that first time when he did something, and that first time where you saw you saw that
oh my God,
here we go again, that feeling.
I'm like, who is this man? And first of all, he slapped me. And of course, when you get that really, really hard slap, it's like you just see stars and all of that. And then so I ended up having to go to the doctor.
From the slap?
Yeah, because it punched my eardrum. And so then I get into the doctor's office, and the doctor said, well, what happened?
That was it.
So I'm still young because, we got married at 22, so I was about 24. So I told him, I walked in the door. And he said, no, that's not what happened to you. You didn't walk into the door. And so I left him.
Right.
But he begged me to come back. And so I went back. So and then, the next time, it was like every time got worse. So ladies, if you're hearing me out there, young ladies, if a man hits you, he put hands on you, he don't love you. Don't let anybody tell you that in order for a man to love you, he has to hit you. That's not true. I'm good to myself. Now that I've gotten out of all those situations, I take myself out to dinner by myself. I love me, and I will not allow any man to ever put his hands on me, because if he does, I'm a Christian. I have a relationship with God.
That's right.
But honey, I'm going to tell you, I'll be willing to try to take you out because
But you know what? That's what happens when you start loving yourself. See, and that's the same thing that I'm kind of on, because when I started loving myself, and like I said, I didn't start loving myself until I'm up in my years now, because I always thought I loved myself. I thought I did, but like I tell people, dressing nice and trying to look good, this and that, that's not showing that you really love yourself. Yes, you can, it's good to dress up every day and try to make yourself, because if you look good, you feel good,
That's right.
But at the same time, we can hide behind that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying you really truly got to go deep within, to go in there, to find out who you really are. You got to find yourself again, because we go through a lot and we lose ourselves behind other men and other women, and and then when you lose yourself, you're all about that person. When you do finally start trying to come back around, you're so lost and don't even know who you are that you don't even recognize yourself, and then that's what breaks you down. Because you start to allow and you let things come in your life, people come in your life that are no good for your life, and you allow it, and you allow them to beat on you and treat you like you're nothing. And again, if you don't teach people how to treat you, they're gonna treat you just how they're gonna treat you. But once they know what you like and what you don't like, and what you'll stand for and what you will not stand for, then guess what? Those are the boundaries that you have set, and they either gonna abide by them or they can move forward. I don't want you in my life if you can't respect my boundaries.
That's right.
I was with a man who locked me up in a garage, kept me there hostage for an entire week. The garage was soundproof. This man would come and he would come in and he would beat on me. He would slap me around, call me all kind of bitches, dog, this, that, whatever, hoe. But he was on meth. And he would hit the meth and he would start to become delusional that I was doing things. You know, he would accuse me of everything in the books. Hell, he accused me of sleeping with his mama because I took her for her birthday to go get her fingernails done. You know, and I mean, it was just, but this man had me in his garage. He headbutted me. All I could remember was blacking out and feeling the warmness drip down my face, and I was I was out. And then I heard his mama come in the backyard because she was trying to hide everything because, you know, that's his mother. It was like a Norman Bates and the mama type of deal. Yeah. And she came back there. Oh, hurry up and clean up everything. Like trying to tell him, husband, get me up and wake up, put it back in there, whatever you go. Like she was a part of what was going on, you know. And let me tell you, after he did all of this to me, he's coming there, he would come in there and piss on me. I mean, if he could shit it on me, I think he would have. You know what I'm saying? But he did everything to me in that room. And he did it for a week. And finally, when you wouldn't believe it, but when I finally was set free to go, because I started talking to him like, I love him and I want to still be with him and all these things so he could let me go. Because I didn't know if he was going to kill me or what, because he was on drugs. He sat there and he was like, I'm going to hit this motherfucker and I'm going to fuck you up every time I hit it. And I can see his face right now telling me that shit. And he sat there and he would tell me, I'm going to kill you, bitch. And I'm going to fuck you up every day. And I was so afraid because I just thought my life was over. And I said that I could remember him coming in there and telling me this, he going to kill me. And I thought I was trying to find every way to get out of there, but it was so soundproof and it has all these muffs around the damn walls. It was like you couldn't, you know, there was no window because it was like an old garage. It had no window. But he come in there and he said, I'ma kill you, bitch. And he said, he sit there and he hit that pookie and he said, bitch. And I said, you gonna keep hitting that, it's gonna kill you. He said, yeah, bitch, after I kill you, bitch. And I mean, just all of this, you know. And this man would torture me. And I mean, he would do stuff. He burned me with cigarette. He was just doing all kind of shit. He come in here. And so finally, after he let me go, you know, I kind of still be mad at myself today because after he let me go, I still didn't go to the police. I didn't go tell on him. I didn't do any of those things because I still loved him at the time. I still loved him even after what he did to me. I still loved him, but I couldn't be with him no more because it was something about me that's in me. See, there's something in me that I don't even know sometimes, but I tell you what, I even try to fight him back. When he would hit me, I would try to fight him back. I took a bottle, a hot sauce pepper bottle, and I took the bottle, and when he came in, I tried to knock him out with the bottle so I could run out the door. I took the bottle and I hit him, bam! And he looked at me, and he said, let me see that. And he took it and hit me back, he said, bam! Right back in my head, and he said, now how that feel? And I just looked at him like, really? And my head was hurting, and all I could do was just drop to the floor and hold my head. Because, you know, he hit me so hard with the bottle, I didn't even really hit him that hard. And he hit me harder than I hit him, but, you know, it was just me trying to get out of that place. And at that time, just thinking of, I'm about to die. I'm about to die. You know, you know, when you being beaten and somebody's doing that to you, you don't know if this man is going to kill you or what. That's why I tell people, don't take it lightly. No. It could be a little slight pop. He could push you, you fall, bust your head, and you gone. You gone just like that. Just so like you that. Can't take, you got to be serious when it comes to that. That is not love. If a man hits you, he put his hands on you, that is not love. He don't love you. He don't care about you. Okay? He care about him and what he wants from you. And then you better make sure you do what he wants or you gonna get it. You know? And I couldn't deal with that. I didn't want to live with that because I knew who I was. You know, even though I had found myself, I still, something in me though, it's a drive that's in me that won't allow me to go through that. You know? And I thank God for that drive he gave me, because I knew I could have suffered and been through so much more if I'd stayed with that man and still been with him today. I don't even know if I'd be alive today.
That's right. Well, I gotta be alive.
So, okay, excuse me y'all for the little tears, but let me tap it up. I want to keep it going. T, I just want to hit with you real quick. What was your situation with the domestic violence?
Well, as you was saying, what you were saying, all of my life growing up as a kid, I was very sheltered, but family members were very dramatic, and it was toxic. So, you know, in my family, you know, you was married, but you had boyfriends and girlfriends, you know. So of course, when the two would meet, they would fight, you know. So when you look up to people that you think is your auntie, your mom, and your dad, you know, and you look up to these people, and you grow up and this is all you see, this is what you think is right.
Right. When you
This is
see
what
them
you-
fighting and abusing
This is what
each
you
other.
think is right.
Right, it's normal.
And so that's why at an early age, you know, as we were growing up,
Right.
you know, you would question me because you knew what type of family I had. Very nice. Mother always had a corporate job. Father worked at Order Finder. So you would ask me, like, why do you like these type of people? Well, because it was always drama in my life. And even if it was normal, because it's been relationships where I had good guys, but because the toxic and the drama is all that I grew up on, I would create.
You took that
I was the
luggage.
drama queen. So I found myself being that abuser. You know, I'll never forget, I was dating this Samoan guy. And he was a good guy during the day, but he was a terror at night. And we had moved together in San Jose. And I had a bunch of negativity, you know, in my life, and phone calls and stuff like that, with people telling me what was going on here with somebody that I had some dealings with. And I'll never forget, this man was going out with his friends, and he asked me would I gel his hair. And I said, gel your hair for what? He said, gel my ponytail, make my ponytail. I said, well, you're not going anywhere. He said, well, no, you go, because we had roommates. We was in college. He said, well, you go with the roommate. I said, I'm not. And I'm not prejudiced or anything, racist or anything like that, but she was a Filipino girl. So I said, well, no, I'm not finna go hang out with the Filipinos tonight. I'm going with you, right? Because I felt like he was trying to shake me for something, but he just wanted to go and hang with his fathers, because he played football. He just wanted to go hang out with the boys. So me, in my little mind, right, I was frying fish because I grew up Catholic, so I'm frying fish and everything. So he said, so you're not gonna gel my hair? So I stopped what I was doing, took the last piece of fish out, gelled his hair. Came back, the oil was still hot, and he was persistent on going.
Okay.
So when he turned around, I picked up the skillet and threw it on him with the hot grease. That was the first beat down. I had boyfriends to hit me because I always had a mouthpiece, you know that.
Right.
But never like that.
Right.
I mean, I had fracture because he was a Samoan.
I mean, you threw frying
You
grease.
threw hot grease on them though.
He was a Samoan, so, you know, he stood
Yeah.
six
Wow.
two, you know, solid because he played football.
Yeah.
When I tell you, when I threw the grease and he hollered,
Ooh, I'm sure.
I ran to
Was
the
it a small
bathroom.
holler or a loud?
Baby, when I tell you, I can.
Say screech.
Ooh.
He screeched.
I could. Ooh.
I just knew. I ran to the
That's
bathroom
grease.
and I locked it.
I would.
Baby, when I tell you, he kicked that door down, and it took our roommates, it took about 4 Samoans plus Charlie to get him off of me. When I tell you, that was a beat down. He lost it. He lost it. But you see,
What did you suffer? Anything? What did you
fractured
broken?
ribs.
Okay.
What you call it when your eyes, both of them rupture with the
With
both
the blood clots,
eyes,
yeah,
both
both
eyes.
red.
A plug in my hair was pulled out because I hid myself on the side of the toilet, and he was like, you know, he lost it.
Right.
So when they pulled him off of me, by the time they pulled him off of me, I ran to our room and I locked the door and I called, you know, for my dad to come get me. And of course that was in San Jose, so it takes like 6 hours. But
Oh wow.
and then after that, you know, I just had to recuperate.
Right.
But on that occasion, I was the abuser. You see what I'm saying? Because I didn't have no business pouring no hot grease on that man.
Yeah.
Just for him wanting to go out and,
Right.
you know, just hang with his buddies. He felt
Right.
like, hey, we live together. You know, we taking class together at school. Come on, give me a break, you know? So,
That's it.
right. And so then I get with my husband. And then, you know, he was a gang member, sold drugs and stuff like that.
Right.
So, of course, all of these things come in with that territory.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
hood dudes,
Yeah.
that was their thing. Like, they hit women.
Right.
You know, so I was the
Right.
abuser. And in turn, you know, certain situations, I've been mentally, you know, abused and physically abused.
Okay. Okay, so we heard it there. You know, she's saying she was the abuser, and then she ended up getting abused for being the abuser. So
Because you reap what you sow.
yeah, you exactly. You read what you said. You said yeah. You could have said it no better than that. So by you saying that, let me move right on along. Now, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever been abused before? Yeah. Well, give me a little bit of your situation of when you were abused.
In my circumstance, my mom had just passed. I grew up in a very strict Christian family, being Mexican as well, very, very strict. I'm the only female, the youngest, so my brothers always said, this is how you need to be, you know, this is how you need to be treated. So with that, you know, no longer having my mom, it kind of changed everything. So the first opportunity, you know, that presented itself when I found someone that, you know, was those things, it was perfect. You know, it started great until it started verbally. And it only, luckily for me, was one time that he hit me, and I was like, I can't.
Right.
That's not something that I was raised with.
Right.
I cannot. But it definitely lasted a lot of throwing things, being verbally abusive. Obviously, I'm not the smallest girl, and I didn't, you know, gain weight from one of the others. So then it was, you know, attacking my size and, you know, my culture and things of that nature. And this one incident, this one time that it actually happened, he was talking about my mother. He was talking about my mother, about how I was raised, and just really talking negative to me, you know, and I yelled back. I started yelling back, and I would always just kind of put my head down, don't say anything. Put my head down, don't say anything, to a point where I was like, no, like,
right, because you don't want to get into it. You don't want to
yeah,
get into it. It's like if I be
continue.
quiet, then he won't keep talking, and then we won't have to worry about fighting, and it won't have to escalate. Yeah, I know what you mean. Been there. I know what you mean.
That incident, I
So you
went
just
off on
said
him.
that was it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this. You're
Right.
not leaving me.
Right.
You know, and I was just like, what do you mean?
wow.
You're not leaving me.
Oh.
So then from there, I was like, well, watch me leave.
Right.
Started packing my things,
Uh-huh.
and he ended up grabbing me, throwing me up against the wall, tried to throw me down the stairs. Luckily, I'm a big girl, so I was able to maneuver to hold myself up, but for me, that was it.
That was
just,
it.
was
So you
like
said
something
after that first abuse, you learned your lesson on that first one.
I had to.
You
I
knew
have
that
brothers
was it,
that
and that's all.
would
'Cause-
enforce that.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
You know, and I'm only saying that because I've been abused twice total in my life. The first time, I was like, never again, never again.
Yeah.
But then see, you fall in love again, and then if it happens again, it's here we go repeating the same thing. But it's good to learn the lesson the first time. And when you learn it the first time, so you have to go through it again.
He was persistent, I will, so he definitely kept and would come to the house, you know, where I lived and stuff like that. But
that's
luckily I have brothers, and that helped.
Right,
I
that
grew up
helped,
Polynesian
exactly.
as well, so I had
Exactly.
yeah.
Did you ever tell your brothers? Did you ever, and this baffles me, did you ever let them know so they can do
No,
what it
she
is that their
wanted
brothers
the man to
are
live.
supposed to do?
I
No.
didn't want that man to die.
No,
My brother
there is
would've
no
killed
living.
him.
Look, I told my brother, and my brother, my baby daddy was one of the people who was abusive to me. One of the person other than the one I just told you about. But my child's father was abusive to me. And I told my brother, you know what, my brother went out there and beat him up, right? But then I stayed with him. So then my brother said, don't come call me again. If something happened, don't come, because you got me and him getting into it, and then we getting into it, and then you want to go back with it. So what's the use of me going to beat the man up? So that's what happened the next time he put hands on me. He put hands on me again, and my brother, and I went to my brother said, man, you deal with that. You got to work with that. I love you, sis, but you're going to have to deal with it because you keep going back. You keep going back. I can keep beating them up and putting them out, but if you keep going back, ain't no need of me, you know, keep doing it. And my brother didn't have a problem because he ready to knock anybody out to put any hands on me, my kids, anybody, because he's done. You know, somebody shot my daughter and I the other day. He went out there and two-pieced them quick. You see what I'm saying? So he don't have no problems with stepping up and coming to our rescue. But he will not do it if he's, like I said, you want to keep going back, you're not going to keep putting me in this situation. So there that was. So again, you know, to answer the question, yeah, we might could go to brothers, but it is what it is, you know.
What I was gonna say was I told them what they needed to know so that they can have my back, but in a sense, and also for them not to do something stupid.
Right.
Because my brothers are older, you know what I'm saying? So they grew up in the 90s, you know what I mean? So their mentality is that.
Right.
We're gonna go
Right.
hurt him. We're gonna
Right.
go do something.
Exactly.
I
That's
don't
what's
want my brother
supposed to
catching no
happen.
case.
Right.
See,
over
Right.
something.
see,
over a
but
dumb man. You know what I mean? So
but do you know
told
that?
them enough.
But do you know that that would cut down on that type of abuse if you did tell your brothers like me and this man? That would cut down on a lot of that abuse, even though it may be a legal issue.
Depending.
We willing to deal with
It
legal
does
issues.
not
deal
cut
with it.
down.
I feel like
It
if
does
we
not
did
cut
that,
down. It does not cut down. Let me just say this, because it's not a debate. It does not cut down because of what she just said. Because our love doesn't cut down. So you guys see it one way because the pain didn't come to you. Your emotions are not wrapped up in it. You do not love that person. You do not have the longevity with that person. You don't have the emotions. You don't have what we experience in that moment. So but you love us, but you don't love that person. So a lot of times we don't say something out of shame, out of guilt, and because we're not done. And
That's
you
right,
guys are
all right.
done from the beginning, but we're not done.
We're not done.
And I had an experience with someone, and originally he was just he
That's okay. We here. We all been through it, baby. It's okay.
Originally-
Use the tissue.
it was an emotional kind of thing.
Right.
And it was also, and I mentioned this before, it was a financial situation. He provided for me. He took care of me. And he was the one that was paying all of the bills.
Right.
And there are certain things in count of you take in count of you don't want to lose that, or you don't want to lose that lifestyle. But I did walk away from him and I met someone else. But in the process of me walking away, and he couldn't believe I could walk away. He couldn't believe I could leave him alone. And now mind you, he never put his hands on me at that moment in time. He never said anything or made me feel that he would even do anything to me. I never knew that he could.
Right.
But when I broke up with him, he was like, look, I just want to talk to you. I just want to communicate with you. And I was like, he knew I was seeing someone else. He knew that the person was even at my house. But I went to go see him and I said, listen, I have to go back home. I really do. But it's over between me and you, whatever. No abuse had happened at that moment. But he said, you're not going anywhere. Then he took a gun out and he put it in my face. And he said, I will kill you before I let you go. And I was just at that point of, are you kidding me? Because this was like a sweet kind of person.
Right.
You know, this was a sweet kind of person. So for him to pull a gun out and put it on me was really like, what are you doing? You know, I got a son. You know, I got to go home. They're expecting me to come home. But you gonna really kill us? You going, well, I'm gonna kill you and kill me. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
So he did something really evil to me because the guy I was with called me and the phone rang. And when he was like, answer the phone. And the gun was right in my face, right in my cheeks. I answered the phone, tears coming down my face. And I said, I'll be home in a minute. So when I hung the phone up, he's like, oh, you gonna go home to him? You gonna go home to him? He zipped his pants down. And he pulled his stuff out. And he said, oh, you gonna take care of me before you go, or I'm gonna blow your brains out right now. And he made me do this. With head down, everything. Pressure on my neck, with the gun in my hand. And when he was done, he zipped his pants up and he said, get out the car. Now,
It's okay.
Charlotte.
I didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell nobody. Because I knew that if I would have told somebody, he wouldn't be here.
That's right.
He wouldn't be here. And that is something that you have to take in account, because I didn't have the fear for myself anymore. I had the fear for him.
Let me ask you a question real quick. Because right here, I have to stop you and ask you, because you just said something that I just said that you didn't tell. You didn't tell nobody. And I didn't tell nobody, you know. And that kind of still bugs me today that I did, because it made me wonder, like, how sick can I be to love somebody that just did all this stuff to me, and I can still love him. I didn't understand that.
I felt it was my fault. I did. I really felt it was my fault. I really felt it was my fault because I knew he loved me. And I knew he was hurting because I was no longer with him. I knew he was hurting and I saw him hurting. And the fact of me being with someone else just was killing him. And he was willing to take me and kill himself.
Right.
And it was
I wasn't afraid that he was gonna come back and do something to me. I wasn't afraid of anything. I just didn't tell him because I didn't want to get him in trouble.
I felt the same way because if something would have happened, he would not be here breathing to this day. And one of his friends, because he told his friend what he did, and then his friend came to check on me, and he said he's messed up. He's just messed up right now, and I think he's gonna hurt himself.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do nothing.
And he
about
did the
it.
same thing. Like he did the same thing. Chased me down Manchester. I jumped out the car in the middle of the street and ran down Manchester because he started beating me in my face with his fist. And I had to jump out the car and run down Manchester. The police came, and you think that he would stop? He was so crazy on crystal meth. The police came, and he still was beating me in the car when because the police walked up to the car, and we was in the car. Police said, is anything going on? He was like, did you guys see what you did? Because we ran the light. That was me trying to flag them down. They just didn't realize that. And then when he did pull us over, girl, I'm standing there, I'm looking at the police, and I'm trying to give an indication that I'm in trouble here. But he don't see it. He's just like, well, what's going on? And this man, he said, I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the car to take our license back there to run it. This man is in the car, beat my ass with the police in the car right back there. And I'm looking at him, he's hitting me, and I'm saying, don't you see the police back there? You're going to go to jail. I'm worried about him going to jail for beating my ass.
All right.
And he beat on me, not even caring that the police is walking by and see it any minute, can see from his car. And he not even caring. And I'm worried about him while he's beating me and telling him, I don't want you to go to jail. And he whooping my ass, and I'm telling him, I don't want you to go to jail. Stop. Because I don't want you to go to jail. I'm just saying. It's easy for people to look at people like us and say, that's crazy. I would never. But when you're in that situation at the time, you don't know what you're going to do.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this because I had friends that were in physical abusive relationships. I have been their rescuer. I've showed up, I picked them up. I even was at the point of getting ready to fight their men. And I used to tell them, I was like, damn, I have never been in a relationship that I love that hard that I would let a man hurt me like that. And that's what I used to say, no man's gonna, because I got a mama with a toting gun and I come from that. We fight back, I fight.
Right,
I fight.
Me too. But I was fighting too until I started. He was just beating. It's like they almost want you to fight him back because they get a thrill out of it. I used to watch his face, and his face, he was enjoying hitting me.
Yes.
It was like he was enjoying. I was looking at him like, you really like this shit. And he tried to play it off, but I looked at when he was doing it, and I look him in his face. He be smiling like he enjoyed what he was doing.
That's the devil.
You know something? That's the type of shit that people like us know that he needs to be dealt with because he's enjoying that shit too much. So he needs to know how that shit feels for somebody capable of making his ass feel.
The revenge would not come back on you. The revenge would come back on us.
It's not revenge. How is it revenge?
Yeah, because if we staying with him and we can't leave and we're still gonna stay, what you think he's gonna do with us when he get us again?
But revenge is if you did. It's just an assault, the same assault that he committed on you. If you let us commit that assault, where's the revenge?
We
Him
feel like
coming
this
back
as
and
men,
getting-
as your
Where's
brothers,
the revenge?
as your brothers.
Now,
and
if
your
you
fathers.
went and got a gun and killed him, there's revenge.
I would not have
But-
told,
but-
I just now told right now to this day, I would have not told what happened. And right now, when this airs and people find out about it, that would mean there would only be the 3 people that know him, me, and his best friend. But I would not. And now that we talk, now that my ex will know now, because. And I know he would not be here breathing.
Sure.
I know he wouldn't be breathing.
Let me. I want
Can I
to. He shouldn't be.
What's wrong with that though? What's wrong with him not being? I mean, I hate
No,
how it sounds.
no, say
What's
it.
wrong with his ass
Not
being
breathing.
gone?
I don't find nothing wrong
What's
with
wrong
it.
with taking out the damn trash? I
Take
don't
out the
understand that.
Well, let me say this.
I got
Okay,
nieces,
so
I got nieces
we're
and
here.
aunties. I'm
Because
only
at that
the
moment in
I'm
time,
only
that's
two.
not what you feel. You don't feel that way. You don't
At
feel,
that time.
let me
I
give
can't
death
argue
to
with that.
him. You
I
don't
can't- I
feel
can't-
that. That's not death.
It's a
Did you feel you
whole-
want to give death to him when he was
It's
beating you in the bathroom?
could feel was anger.
Right.
I could feel a bad spirit
Yes.
came over me. So you have to, and I'm not justifying other people's abuse patterns, but all I'm saying is that everything that we go through, as far as being in that way, is generational. Okay? And I know it was for me. Now I can't speak for everybody. Why we tolerate abuse. Okay? It may not have to be physical, but if it was spiritually, emotionally, or verbally. You see what I'm saying? So all I felt at the time, as I can recall, was anger because he did not do what I wanted him to do, and that was to stay home with me.
Right.
Or if you wasn't gonna stay home, let me roll with you,
Okay.
because he was a very nice looking guy, and I didn't want to lose him.
Okay. So let me say this. I just wanna give me 1 second because I wanna make sure I give all ladies. Kiki. See, we have Kiki here, and Kiki's pretty much, she's been abused, but you know, like some of us, when she been hit for the first time, she made sure she was very clear. I'm gonna let her tell the story. Kiki, go ahead and tell us the
It was
story.
just that one time.
Right.
He hit me, and then, yeah. I've never been hit. I've only been hit by one man. But again, going back to what T said, abuse, this type of stuff is generational. I personally was born into a family, like my mother's side of the family, my grandmother had seven girls and 1 boy. And so I didn't grow up seeing abuse. I grew up seeing, I didn't grow up seeing like marriage and all of that either. But what I did see was, I grew up seeing a bunch of women being strong, buying their own homes, making their own purchase. I mean, they took care of everything.
Right.
I grew up seeing strong women. And if there is no other advice that I ever remember from my mom is that I am not to fear. She told me this. She's like, you are not to fear anyone or anything but God himself.
All right.
So if God is not in front of me, everybody else is like little minions and I can take them.
Right. So tell us what happened when you got that.
The one time that the
Yeah.
man put his hands on me, well, it didn't end too well. So, let me get my wig together.
All right.
So we were having an argument. I was with this guy. My son was in Pee Wee football. So, I don't know. When they playing flag or whatever.
Okay.
So my son did something, or I can't even remember what my son did. But my boyfriend was like, oh, he's not playing football. And he's not playing in the game. And I'm like, fuck that. Okay, I didn't pay good money for his equipment and all of this other stuff. He playing in every game. So he's like, no, you know, we're gonna punish him. No, we not punishing him. Okay, this is my son.
Right.
It wasn't his son, it's my son.
Right.
So we don't punish him,
Right.
I punish him.
Right.
And I think he gonna play this game. So me and him get into this argument and over my son. And then there's a bunch of, he throwing me on the bed and then I'm jumping off and he hit me and then I hit him back and then it was a bunch of swinging going on. So it wasn't until like later on in the day that I realized I had a black eye, but he had a black eye too. I was raised with, I never saw abuse. I've never seen women be abused. I've never seen what you guys are talking about. I've never seen the whole, you know, we married and we got a girlfriend over here and a boyfriend. No, I saw single women raising their kids. And they are buying their own homes, they driving nice cars,
Right.
and they wear nice shit.
Right.
You know, I have a couple of aunts that are nurses, I have other aunts that are social workers, they always had their own.
So by you being influenced by these type of women in your life and stuff like that, you feel that this is something that helped you to understand that pretty much if a man put his hands on you, that's not
Oh, yeah.
love,
Oh.
and that
Grandma, okay, I wasn't there because it was my grandmother, of course, but on Grandma's wedding day, she had to check her husband.
Wait a minute.
And she had to put her hands on her husband. Like, you will not do this. Like I said, I wasn't here, but this is stories that was passed down. That's what I saw. There are a lot of women in my family. So I'm the oldest from my family. I'm the oldest. I don't have an older brother to run to.
Okay. Okay. So real quick, Brittany, let me just go with you real quick since you guys what is it? Give me a little bit about your abusive situation really quick.
For my situation, it was more of a mental abuse. So it was something that I endured with a person who I thought loved me, I thought cared for me, but every second that they had, they would tear me down, and they would say that nobody's gonna love you like I would, and then they would treat me poorly. They ended up stepping out of the relationship and just being very unfaithful.
Verbal abuse. So you're getting verbal abuse.
Verbal
okay.
abuse.
And I just want to touch bases. Verbal is just as bad as physical.
It's the worst.
It's
It's
just
the worst.
as bad. So don't say, well, they didn't hit me. I didn't get hit because that
Right.
verbal will tear you down from the inner core out. I think I would rather. It's like when your parents used to want to give you that whooping. You say, before you can't go outside. If you go outside, you can't go outside and go get the whooping. I used to tell my mama, give me the whooping, because I want to go outside. Because see, that verbal, that you can't do something, whatever, that would eat you from the inside out.
Yes,
You
it
know?
stays with you
So
longer.
yeah, it does. So don't think that just because they don't put their hand on you, that'll hurt, because that verbal hurt just as bad, baby, just as bad, and it damages you just as bad.
100%
So go ahead.
with the damage. I will back that up. I think it took me until I was roughly 27-ish until I felt better about myself, and I felt I am a strong woman, I am independent, I don't need a guy to hold it down because I can do my own thing, pay my own bills, but this guy really dug into me and tore me down to the point where I didn't want to be here anymore because it just affected me so
that mental,
deeply.
see what I'm
And it just
saying?
made me
That
feel-
mental makes you want to take yourself out because you don't want to deal with it. The physical do too, but that mental is so powerful, it'll make you want to kill yourself. Because I think I was at that point too, where it's like, do anything to get me away from this man, even if it means kill me today. Okay? So I'm gonna let the man ask some questions and then I'm gonna close it out.
I
This
just
real
want to
quick,
ask a
guys.
question, because I know the public is, watching, probably wants to ask this question. Has anyone, okay, you don't want your brothers to, handle the business. Has anyone thought about bringing the law and taking, letting the courts handle
I
the
did do
situation?
that. I did
mean,
that.
there are ways,
With
I know the restraining order never works, I know that.
Right.
But I haven't heard anyone.
You gotta build a case.
Well,
you
you
get
did- I
abused
did.
by a man, you gotta start building a case. It just don't work like that. You can call him, come on, unless he really, you show some rules and stuff, the police will take him. But at the same time, he can say, well, she hit me too, because we did that, and that was trying to take me to jail right along with him. And I wasn't the one that put hands on him, he put hands on me. But he lied and said, she hit me too, so I can go with him, because I was telling him to take him. He was like, you going too.
Yeah.
I keep
Yeah,
hearing
it's
about
cold.
No, I
defense
did
of
do that.
abusive men.
But
hearing the
I
defense
did
of-
do that. I
Okay,
did
good.
because years after that situation happened, and then years later, believe it or not, him and I end up seeing each other again. And he was abusive to me a second time. And this time it was very physical. And at that moment, when that became physical, we both were fighting each other. And I had on platform shoes. And I hit him in the nose, broke the part. But it did happen. And so it got reported because that was during the time of the O.J. Simpson stuff. So he went to the anger management stuff, and they asked him a question, would you do it again? And he said, yeah. And they said, okay, well, we're going to do this to you. And he had to pay a fine, and he had to do some other stuff. But I did get it involved, but I never seen it. We never dealt with each other after that. That was it.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so, real quick.
Yeah,
We gotta
well, you have to remember, I'm the oldest one up here, and mine was way before the O.J. Simpson
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And the police came out, and I swelled
They
real
would
bad,
ignore
my
you.
face was all swollen. Back then, they didn't do anything. The cops didn't do anything. But since O.J. Simpson case, there's been things that has become better
Right.
for us who have, that have been abused.
Mhm.
But back then, oh no, it was like,
Okay.
The reason why I asked you guys about did you get anybody involved is because when I was in the situation with I was married very young, I was right at 18. And the reason why I got with this person is because I had my first daughter when I was 15. And when I had my daughter, I wanted to be with my daughter, but her family took her from me. So my idea was, as time went by, I got out of school and all that, I had another child coming, and I was thinking, okay, so how do I keep this child? And the proposal was, hey, marry her, because her father was a pastor. So I said, yeah, she can't take my kid if I marry her, so that's what I did.
Oh, see, man.
All right? So we got together, and, you know, she was older than me, about 5 years. And, you know, everything was iffy. She's very jealous, off the back. Now, mind you, I've never seen any man get hit or anything like that, but I've seen my mom get attacked, and I came to her rescue. I fought a grown-ass man. I was already 6 foot, so it wasn't all that bad.
Right.
But I fought a grown man. But I've never seen the opposite. So the first time we got into it, it was over a stop sign. And we stopped at a stop sign, and I looked left, I looked right, I looked left, and I looked right, and I drove off. And as I drove off, I got slapped. And I was shocked, like, what has happened? You know? And her words out of her mouth was like, you must really like that bitch. And I was like, which bitch? I didn't see a bitch at the light. Show me the bitch. You know? Well, apparently there was girls on one of those corners.
Whoa.
So after I kind of was shocked, and we were down the street from the house, we got to the house, and she started to verbally tell me how I wasn't shit. And I was just, I would never be nobody, and she's this and she's that, and I'm this and I'm that. And I'm sitting here looking at her, and I'm hearing all these words come out, and I'm telling you, I was in shock, so I didn't know what to do. So at this point, I'm not answering her. So then she proceeds to grab my shirt, and then she rakes my face, and then she raked the other side of my face. So then you know, you automatically snap into like defense, and so I'm smacking hands away, and I grab her hands, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she tell me, fuck you, and this, that, and the other. The problem that I have is I had nobody to tell.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to tell anybody that I'm getting hit by this girl that's about this tall.
You got it right.
Okay. So
right.
so I can feel you guys on that, but I just don't, I don't know how a man would take care of it or do it, but I hear you. But you guys need to tell your brother, because we can remove that from you. If you can't remove yourself, we can remove him. So then there's no issue.
Okay.
Call the
So
police. No good.
yeah. So you know, at the end of the day, guys, I just want to say that, like I said, physical abuse, verbal, mental, I don't care what it is, it's no good for no one. It is not love. It is not caring. It is not sharing. It is none of those things. So at the end of the day, you better start loving you first. That's
right.
where you're going to find true love. You want real love, you better go within or you will go without.
That's
Because
right.
baby, let me tell you, if you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody, and can't nobody love
Say
you.
it.
Okay? And you will allow anything. So